He said, Peter Pan, that's what they call me. I promise that you'll never be lonely.
Hey guys, Credenda here, and I'm back with another Jayce mid lane fundamentals video. This time I will be going over the state of Jayce runes. So, as you guys might have seen with people playing with the new runes, it's definitely hard to find the best possible rune page for a specific champion, just because of how the other runes kind of affect what choices you have to make. And these are things that I didn't really think about when choosing runes before, and now that I've played a little bit more on this patch, I think I can give you guys a more accurate estimation of the state of runes on Jayce. What runes are good, what runes are bad. And I have 3 pages pulled up that I think are decent runes, solid runes to run for mid lane, fitting various playstyles. I will say my opinions on each of these, which one I think is better in the certain situation, and I'll also talk about some other runes that people have been running with precision stuff later in the video. But for the beginning, I'm going to start with Unsealed Spellbook. So if you guys have been watching my stream lately, or anything of any of my accounts these last couple days, I've been trying out Unsealed Spellbook, and I wanted to try it out because I saw it in the LCK. I saw it in a lot of high elo games on supports and stuff, and a lot of things like Vladimir and stuff like that. And the 25% reduction on cooldowns is just absolutely insane. Like there's nothing oppressive about or I want to say nothing impressive. Of course, the ability to switch summoner spells is really useful. For example, I take it in a lot of mid lane matchups now, and I'll get into the reasons why I take it in a little bit. But the main reason why this is so good on everyone right now is because it combines 2 things that are really good on their own, and together they just become broken. So the first one is the ability to get summoner shards and exchange those shards for summoner spells during the game. So this obviously means into matchups like Ryze, into matchups like LeBlanc, into any matchup really that you want to have flexible summoners for different stages of the game. It allows you to do that. So for example, if I'm against a Ryze, I'll start Cleanse. Typically use Cleanse on an early gank. If not, don't have to use it. If I do, it's on a super low cooldown because of the 25% that I'll get into a moment, and a reduction that I'll get into in a moment. And if I do get ganked and I don't use my Cleanse, I can always TP back to lane and catch the farm. So that is just so good, and the TP's on a low cooldown just makes it so forgiving in lane. Like you can always get back with power spikes. Super good. Obviously, I'll get into why taking it over Airy does lose you some damage, and I'll give you the pros and cons of what I think about these 2 rune pages now that I've played enough games on it. So again, the second part of Unsealed Spellbook is that 25% summoner spell reduction. So your spells are just up all the time. I think you have like a 3-minute flash, 30-minute flash, something like that. So you can just constantly be making plays with those. Abuse people that don't have it because you just have lower cooldown summoners. You can burn flash and have flash out before them, obviously creating opportunities. And I think it's also really good because with this page you can also run what I think are the 2 most broken runes, or I guess 3. I'll just say 2. The 2 most broken runes on pretty much any champion right now, and Jayce in particular. And those are perfect timing in Futures Market. Now, I'll just scroll through each of these pages. If you'll notice, perfect timing and Futures Market are on every single page that I think is good right now. Why? If you guys haven't noticed already, it essentially is like League of Stopwatch right now. Whoever can use their stopwatch better, can outplay the other person's stopwatch, can play around the stopwatch, typically wins the game in this meta. Stopwatch is just such a strong item that you need to have it, need to learn how to use it, and you need to use it effectively if you want to climb. That's just my opinion. I think it's just super strong right now. That's why I justify taking it. Additionally, Futures Market, always hitting power spikes. I've been a big advocate for it with my original page that I wanted to do. As soon as I discovered these 2 masteries, I just kept using them all the time. They're just so good. And here we come into the division of these 2 pages, which I think these, so I will get to the Electrocute page, but I do think these 2 pages are the strongest pages on Jayce, and I'll tell you why. These 4 masteries, these 4 runes, need to be taken on Jayce just because they are so good compared to every other rune. Like their combination is just so nutty. Like I've tried other pages where like maybe you go Electrocute Precision. I know that's what Jayce likes to run. Other people like to take the precision for the mana, for the presence of mind and stuff like that. But I feel like Mana Band gives you the most free mana, and it doesn't constrain you around leveling and kills. So it gives you more sustained mana throughout the laning phase, and it makes you more unpredictable on Jayce where you want to poke. Obviously, if you're about to level up, it's super good for all-ins, and I think that's why he takes it for Electrocute, just because he always tries to all-in on those crucial moments. But in my opinion, against good players, they're going to understand that, they're going to respect the leveling, and they're just going to back off until your infinite mana is gone. And then that rune pretty much holds not no value. Obviously, you can chain off kills in the late game, and you can't really stop someone who just keeps killing you and keeps getting infinite mana. So in that respect, it's very strong. But I think for the laning phase, Mana Ban just makes Jayce a completely different champion in terms of mana sustain. Allows you to take Celerity second as well, which is just so insane. You get so much AD from all the movement speed you'll be running with if you go Mobies or if you're constantly form switching. And the 3% extra movement speed just makes you a very, very fast boy. It's just so good to take. The one thing I will say, because maybe I should have said 3 runes earlier, this rune can be swapped out for something like Scorch or something like River Walking. I just think Celerity is the best one personally, and that's the one I take because you need to take Mana Band, in my opinion, to have optimal mana sustain with Jayce. So these 4 are just, or these 3 rather, are just so insane to take that you need to have some combination of them, or I think they're a lackluster page, like this. This is still a good page, but I think it is lackluster, and I have been trying it a little bit. It does have some burst potential. I do like the way you burst. Sometimes you can just completely one-shot someone and they just don't expect it, regardless of what elo they are. And I will say that is a really good merit of this page, but I think what you're giving up on with missing out on Stopwatch, missing out on Futures Market, missing out on the Mana Band are the things that make Jayce consistently oppressive. And consistency is really key with Jayce and when snowballing games. So you just want the most consistent runes possible, not for these more like, these are more snowbally. Obviously, you can get out of control very quickly, but I think in a standard game with people of your own skill level, these 2 pages will do you off much better. So the big difference in these 2 pages comes in the 3rd rune, and obviously the summonary difference with the Unsealed Spellbook. So while you might be able to take a combat summoner, get TP, get all those waves, and use it very effectively, which is really good, really strong, you do lack on some early laning damage from Aerie. Aerie does so much damage when you're auto-trading, when you're queuing, and it makes your laning phase really oppressive. So I think, and I'll give you my final judgments at the end of this video as well, that Aerie does have its place on Jayce. It's still really strong, and maybe when Unsealed Spellbook gets nerfed, I might go back to this page more often. But I feel like the damage and the shielding, while it's nice, is not super crucial compared to having teleport, having the summer spells, having the reduction, having the playmaking ability, the ability to push tempo in lane by getting teleport or getting whatever summoner you need is just so valuable, and the reduction. And then in addition to that, you can also take Cosmic Insight. So I do think Cosmic Insight on Jayce is better than Water Walking. And I think the only real discrepancy you have in these 2 pages is the summon area because of all the damage. But Water Walking is good for roaming and stuff. Obviously, I've always boasted about its merits of flat MS, so broken, AD to QE, into the lane. But 5% CDR, 5% max CDR, all this is just so insane, and it actually opens up new pathways on Jayce. For example, if you have 45% CDR, you actually can Q and E off the same... or you can Q twice off the same E, rather, with enough CDR, maximum CDR, 45%. So it actually does allow some new mechanics on Jayce. Obviously, you get the 5% from level 1, so you're going to have more poke more often. And it also just goes into the Summer Spell CD as well. And I think it affects active items as well. I'm not sure. But even these 3 are just so good on Jayce that I think Unsealed Spellbook is the best page on Jayce right now. If you can use it properly, if you can use the teleports, it's just so oppressive. And if you really know how Jayce works with like spikes and timings, the ability, the access to gold that teleport gives and the low cooldown that it gives, the access to pressure, the access to flexibility throughout the game in terms of how the game evolves. Like, are you gonna get caught out instantly and die, then take cleanse? Is there a really fed Zed on the enemy team? I'll switch over to exhaust because you took ignite early. Or you need to split push. You need to be this 1-3-1 threat, and TP just makes that so effective. And you can trade TP for TP, have TP sooner. It's just so good. And I think until this gets nerfed, this will be the reigning page for Jayce, and the page I will be running in the future. And I'll make another video specifically on each of these. I have given a little insight into why I think it's so good, but I'll give a more in-depth breakdown on why you should be running this page if you can use it on Jayce, at least until the nerfs. But this is a video about all the pages, so I need to review these as well. So this decent page, like I said. Pretty much said everything about it in this page because they share a lot of the same runes. Aerie will obviously give you a more dominant laning phase, and I do think it is the superior keystone when laning against primarily tanks top lane and a little tankier champions mid lane. I will say, in terms of squishies, Electrocute does have that burst, does have that surprise factor, so it might be a little bit better mid lane, but I do think Aerie compensates with the really broken runes below it, Celerity and Mana Flow, where you can get a lot more poke off, a lot more autos off, and I think overall it's better for laning phase than just the straight damage. I will say though, this rune page is not bad. If you're all into that bursty Jayce, you don't really need to poke a lot, or maybe you're in lower elo, I think this actually is better for that kind of elo, and I could see how it could be effective. Back to what I was talking about with Stopwatch and the Debt. Just such good runes, but I do think that the Stopwatch is a little harder to use in lower elo. So if you did want to opt for a different rune, just based on like if this is like an elo type rune page that you want to build, then I would build that with maybe like the 5% CDR or something like that. Up to you, really. But I would say at the highest level, if I was to use an Electrocute page, and I do use this page on jungle Jayce because obviously the mana problems aren't really there because you can auto the camps all day with melee form. You get blue buffs, of course. So these are a lot better in the jungle. Zombie Ward, Sudden Impact, Relentless Hunter, all for burst and ganks. But mid lane, this could be good as well. With Stopwatch, with Debt, you're going to still be hitting power spikes. You're going to be a little mana hungry, but you will have the burst onto squishies. Sudden Impact obviously gives you a ton of damage as well and adds to your Electrocute damage. Zombie Ward is super good for mid lane, just to like plop a ward there and watch it sprout into this thing that they probably won't kill and just get infinite vision essentially. It's so good. The map is like always lit up, and then the Relentless Hunter, of course, you know how much I love movement speed, love running around the map, so this is also a really good roaming page. I would say this is the snowballier page, the page that will work against the less competent competition you would face, and it's still a decent page, maybe good for certain situations, but I think until this gets nerfed, these two rune pages definitely get outshined by this one, just because of how it uses the most broken runes in the game right now, optimally on Jayce. I will now talk about some of the other pages people have been running. I actually don't have screenshots of those. I should have added them, but I can just take it off the top of the head. So a lot of people have been asking me, why don't you run like Phase Rush or run, I think FMJace runs with Precision Secondary with Electrocute. So to the Precision Secondary with Electrocute, you just can't do it with Stopwatch. I think Stopwatch is just too broken. Debt is too broken. You just can't not take it for it to be a really good page. Additionally, I think Presence of Mind, I played it a couple games just to try it out, see what all the buzz was about. And after I leveled, and after I got the mana from leveling and stuff, I just felt like the enemy would play passive, and I wouldn't really get the full use out of the mana. And it would really put them on the defensive, so I couldn't hit QEs that were kind of like more spur of the moment and more spontaneous. And I feel like against really good players, you're really gonna be punished for taking a page that doesn't really give you a lot of mana sustain, or I guess free mana sustain with mana band. I think I saw a Korean player actually, I think he plays top primarily, use Phase Rush and then the Precision Tree to just get to get maximum mana. But again, that runs into the problem of not taking Stopwatch and Debt, which I think in this current meta is just inferior to any other page you can really take. So yeah, that will conclude the third episode of Jayce Mid Lane Fundamentals on the state of Jayce runes, what I think about them, what I think the best page is. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys learned something about Jayce runes, and we'll take this into your next games. As always, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Twitch. You know the deal. Stay black, boys. Love you.